Hey guys, Beji here to do an album review. Today I'm here to talk to you guys about the brand new record from Crystal Lake, Helix, out February 15 on Sharp Tone Records. This album has 12 tracks and it's 40 minutes in length. Alright, so to me this record really felt like a buffet of music, but perhaps there was too much variety and not enough quality on this record, at least for my own personal taste. I liked the way the album started. I liked the Helix intro track number 1. I really like how that it started, and then it went into track number 2, AEON, which was one of the singles. I like that start. I really like albums that start with that kind of an intro, short intro, leads it into a single, so you're already familiar with that song, you're familiar with that sound going into the record. That was a good start. Now, to me, the rest from that point on is where at some points it felt a little flat. I just felt like I was personally lost within the record at some points in time. I just didn't ever really felt comfortable with the record. I never really felt I understood the direction that the band was going with this record, and that really comes across in the music. It's just I didn't feel a connection to the tracks. The singles were really good. I really like the singles that the band put out for this specific record. That really had me excited about checking out the whole album, because those singles were really powerful, were really bangers, and I was really excited about checking out what the rest of the album was going to be like. And that to me is where it falls flat. There are some good tracks, but the overall vibe, the overall feel of the record, it just doesn't feel like there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. It just doesn't feel together. There are some great tracks, but there is a sense of disconnect between them, between all the tracks, if you will. I just felt lost. Personally, listening to this record, I felt lost. I felt that there were some tracks that I connected to, that I liked, specifically the singles, like I mentioned. But overall, the overall vibe of the record, the overall feel of the record, to me was very confusing. It's just, I never felt comfortable enough to really enjoy it. I just didn't know. I didn't know what I was experiencing. I didn't know where the band was going, what the overall idea was, what they were trying to achieve with the tracks, on how they placed the tracks in the album, and what they did with specific tracks. I don't know, I just felt a disconnect. I really did. I felt a disconnect with this record. And I'll give you an example. A track like Just Confusing, it's just that. It's confusing. To me, that track almost felt like something out of a Calvin Harris album. It just didn't feel like it belonged with the other tracks. It didn't feel like it had a purpose on the record. So that is pretty much how I felt towards the whole album. Having said that, there are some great songs on the album, but I just feel overall this record didn't really move the needle for me one way or another. I like this band. I like some of the tracks, but overall, this is one of those records that you'll listen to, you'll put it away, and perhaps you'll never pick it up again. It's not going to be one of those memorable records that you're going to have on heavy rotation going forward. At least I won't, personally. Now, as far as songs that I really want to mention, I'm not going to talk about the singles, but there are a couple of tracks that I enjoyed besides the singles, that I felt that there was something there. There was something unique, at least unique. There was something different, something unique, something worth mentioning. One of them is Hail to the Fire. This is one of my favorite tracks on the record. I really like this track. I really like the aggression, both musically and vocally. The vocal tracks on this album really remind me of a tribal feel. It had almost a Sepultura tribal feel to it, specifically with the way the vocals were delivered. That to me was really cool. It was very different. I was not expecting something like this, but this is something that was unique, but it was good. I liked it. I liked the fact that it had this tribal vibe to it, and then the aggression and that tribal feel that the lyrics had and that the vocal delivery had really matched well with the aggression musically, with the aggression of the track overall. So this was a song that I really enjoyed, that I thought in my mind, besides the singles, was a standout track, at least to me. And the majority of that really came from the pleasure that I had from the lyrics and the way the lyrics were delivered to us, the listeners, with that very tribal feel to it. Another song I want to mention to you guys is Agony. This one has a kind of a cool sci-fi start to it. It's a heavy and aggressive track. Overall, this track keeps a little bit of that sci-fi vibe. There's a synthesizer sound to it that they use in the beginning that has that sci-fi vibe to it. They keep that throughout the track, sometimes in the background, sometimes more in the forefront. It really alternates, but they did it in a way where they really used it properly. They used it in a sense that gave an atmosphere to the track where it really needed to give it an atmosphere, being played more in the background and not as much in the forefront. And when it came to the forefront, they kind of brought some melody to the song. A song that's very aggressive and heavy, this really brought some melody to it. Overall, this is a really cool track that has these key details that really make a difference. I really like the vocal track on this one as well, and I like the fact that they added some layers to it. In specific parts of the song, they really added layers to create a little bit more thickness to the vocal delivery. I thought that was really cool. It added to that sci-fi atmosphere that the synthesizer brought to the track. So the mixture of these two components really gave this space feel to this track called Agony. I liked it. I thought it was different. It was a little bit unique from that perspective, and it worked well. It's not just about being different and being something out of the box, but it's about working well and how the band wants to really showcase this song to their audience. And in this track, the combination of that synthesizer sound with that vocal layering, it really worked with that whole sci-fi atmosphere that gives the track. So those two components together really worked well. The last but not least, I want to mention a track called Plus 81. This one has Youth Rebellion written all over it. To me, this is a real anthem track, a song that perhaps in a live setting works really well, and predominantly because of how the song is constructed, but also the lyrics of the song. It has a really cool guitar riff. I really like it. It's very cool, very groovy. There's a very groovy scent to this guitar riff in this song, and that adds a very cool bass line to it. There's also a really badass bass line in this song that adds grooviness to the song. Those two elements, the guitar riff and the bass, really add grooviness to this track, and that's why it stands out, is that groovy feeling that the track has. Now, this track at certain points, it becomes so groovy, the bass line becomes so predominant that the song almost feels like a Suicidal Tendencies Infectious Grooves track. Really funk. There's a lot of, it's not only groovy, but there's a little bit of funk in this track. Another one that completely, not surprised me, but it kind of caught my attention because of how groovy, how funk it was in certain parts. It's still a heavy track, but there are certain moments where it stops from being heavy and almost becomes a pure funk song. So from that perspective, I like what they did. I like how it sounded. I like how they put it together. And the chorus, like I was mentioning before, really has this anthem vibe to it. I can really feel it in a live setting, the audience singing along, because it's really, lyrically, this song is really designed to be a song that engages the audience, that gets the audience singing along with the band. So I really feel that this is going to be one of those songs that in a live setting is going to work extremely well. I personally really liked it from that perspective, and it was one of the more enjoyable tracks outside of the singles that the band released. Overall, this is it. This is Crystal Lake. The album is Helix, out February 15 on Sharptone Records. Like I said before, this is not a memorable record. It is an okay record. I liked it in parts. Overall, I felt like it didn't really move the needle, at least to me. That's my own personal opinion on it. But I want to hear your opinions. What do you think of the band? What do you think of this specific record? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.